Okay, so today I'm going to talk about a more modern archetype of the breakdown, of a relationship breakdown. Um, Last time I talked about how things break down, like in the 1950s dynamic, 1950s America. Um, I think what was happening there was an overpowering of the masculine dark side, I guess, and complete lack of any kind of healthy give and take between the sexes. Like there needs to be a give and take and a synthesis between both energies to be to bring about like better well-being, better maturity between two people and within a person. So what I think is a more modern dynamic of a breakdown is the missing positive masculine, the pain of the missing positive masculine. There are still examples, modern examples of where the dark side of the masculine overpowers and kills everything in the relationship. But a less recognized and less appreciated in the media in modern art is the absence of the positive masculine, and that's partially due to probably like the cultural, like there's been a huge cultural swing in the generations before us, and it's almost like all masculinity became like mocked. But the unfortunate thing is even the positive masculine became mocked. This is the basic contrast. The contrast is more easy to see in the 1950s and the 1960s, and then specifically there was a huge swing, I guess, and basically what it was is you went from a very constrictive, conservative culture that was suffocating, I guess, to the feminine, but it enabled some level of positive masculinity. But basically, things got so dysfunctional from that kind of thinking, both in our relationship level and on the collective cultural level, that we broke with that pattern, and men started being more open to their emotional feminine side, grew up their hair, engaged in dance, creativity, community with nature, all these kinds of things. And there's positive and negative aspects of both. There's no taking sides, no clear taking sides. But so that was the big cultural swing. We haven't quite reconciled how to bring the positive of each element into us. I think that's where men are today. We're not really sure, how to steal the good of each of these archetypes, but eliminate the bad, I guess, of each archetype. So, and that movie that plays out well in the movie Blue Valentine. I'm gonna probably just do another post and focus specifically on that movie and discuss how it shows breakdown, because it's much more easier to see than just to hear me prattle on about it. But just to show you an example of what the basic good dynamic, I guess, of a modern relationship is between like a feminine integrated man, an emotionally integrated man, and I guess like a normal female. Here's just a sample, a taste of it. Okay, so that's a different kind of initial attraction, a different kind of beginning than the polar attraction. So if it between her and a very like masculine oriented man, there's going to be maybe sexual polarity there, but not necessarily like emotional connection there. So in that scene, there was, you saw like an ability to for him to flow with her, to create with her, to be immediately in the moment, and to be with her in that moment, and you saw kind of like a flowing, co-creative dynamic, and that would never be possible with I guess like a hyper masculine man, like who's super oriented with his masculinity, or it would be increasingly possible as he evolves and opens up. But that's the positive dynamic, I guess, with the probably modern man, the hipster, the artist, the ability to both for him to understand the feminine, I guess, to understand her value and to be able to flow with that value. On an everyday level, this can kind of break down. When you extend that out normatively, if there's not a level of balance, if they don't establish balance, the ability to do practical everyday things. I know the movie shows him being very distracted and very just into the moment entertainment of things. I know in this scene, he asked her to take out the trash, and he says, yeah, but he's really focused on his own agenda of entertainment and adventure, I guess. So that's kind of the give and take. There's a lack of stability, a lack of consistency, but on the upside, you get variety and adventure. But I think the inconsistency is what was really leading to the pressure in her over time. Whether that's her unwilling to explain to him how to, or them being willing to work together to co-create both stability and variety, to establish those, because they're somewhat in conflict. But if you're able to plan well and work with things well, you can have both stability and variety. But in this situation, she gets to the point where she's kind of frustrated with instability there. But she's also kind of burdened by her own disappointment. And that's another element in the modern woman, I guess. Like, there's been a lot of pressure on them to kind of step up into more masculine careers and masculine orientation, like any kind of thing that requires procedures and efficiency. Hey, stop that. That's a more logical orientation in mind. So if he wants to become more balanced, but also hang on to himself, his own values, it's always a threading the needle. You don't want to lose yourself, you don't want to lose your value, whatever you contribute to the relationship, but you also want to evolve, you want to balance yourself out. So on his level, the lack of focus was hurting their ability to get things done on a procedural level, and that was frustrating her. So either she needs to bring more acceptance and appreciate his own polarity, or he needs to increase his focus and try not to lose creativity, and always the solution, usually it's they have to kind of meet in the middle. She has to be more accepting, he has to be more flexible, and try to establish his own balance. Healthy independence while still being open to her. So I think another thing that was leading to their breakdown, and this has actually happened to me, like when we talk about he was overly concerned with her needs and her well-being, and it was a codependent situation. So there was no distinction between her and him, and that used to be more of a feminine characteristic. She identified herself as the marriage, as opposed to, our relationship to each other, and that give and take. So, and so he's very like almost attached at the hip to her. You feel so. There's a smothering dynamic is another adjective that's in popular culture that's relevant here. So in order to step back, he needs to still maintain intimacy but let go, and that's kind of a paradox that people have trouble with. Healthy independence while still being open to her. So at one level, you're separating yourself and letting go, but you're still open to her, and that's the healthy paradox that any relationship has to manage, has to navigate. Reduced, and on the same level, along the same line of reasoning, reduce neediness and dependence. So you're reducing your neediness and dependence on her, but you're still caring. So the caring and connection and those things are all positive things that the emotionally integrated male brings to the table over any other archetype. But being able to pull back from neediness and dependence, those are what that's triggering, and in his mind, caring, dependence, neediness are all one. He views those emotions in himself as I'm caring for you, I'm loving you. But on a certain level, he needs to kind of pull back, untease, how he's being dependent upon her, how he's clinging to her, how he's needing her, and that's the suffocation element, or smothering, I guess. Whereas the alpha dominant male, his tendency was to suffocate or snuff out, you would say. So this is he's being domineering, and over dominating her, but in his case, he's not necessarily stepping up enough, and so it's killing the chemistry, killing the synthesis. So, but I mean that's just the chemistry of the relationship. That doesn't mean that it's completely like they should not stay together, they should not work things out. There's no, it's hard to say. Every situation has a right and wrong, I guess. But it's good to kind of spell out the options and feel which one is right and reduce the pain, I guess, as much as you can. But she has several options open to her. She can leave the relationship for a new relationship, or hope that in the leaving he can evolve and they can have a more healthy relationship later on. She can accept the situation, she's cared for by him, but her other needs and fulfillment are kind of suppressed. It is a codependent situation. But on some level, I think when you watch the movie, she wasn't taking responsibility for her own dynamic or her own disappointment that she was accusing him for. She either needs to let go of what she wanted in the past, becoming a doctor, or she needs to go back to school and move forward. But just the disappointment, the constant disappointment, she needs to kind of just take a responsibility for and kind of let go, work through whatever she has to do. Look for ways to get more stability from her partner rather than or from activity. So just any kind of if they have an agreement upon cleaning duties, a separation of responsibilities, anything to add more stability to the relationship structure, those are all masculine elements that you can do to compensate for somebody if your partner is not highly structured, highly focused. Another way to potentially get your needs met is the open relationship. That has its challenges in its own. It's not necessarily socially accepted, but I mean that's another option. So that's kind of the anatomy of the modern breakdown. Discuss the dynamics, how that happens, and how to unwind it. Thanks for listening.